I'm not live streaming this. I'm just using it as a method of recording.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Oh, we get to do it over again.
No, just as an extra backup of the
Okay,
recording.
I'm happy to read these names. At least I know Gwen's.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
only taken me more than a decade of doing it.
Okay. So perfect.
Yeah, shall I put this coffee up on the whole way, or is that a go and spill it? Things sit there. I'm a bit worried that that gets in the that's my laptop. Anyway, I'm going to put it behind you on the stage. I'm going to put it back here. Yeah. So what after introduction? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thanks everybody for finishing up. Thank you. I just got told by Ken when he saw my very brief introduction, says that's way too long, make it shorter. I think it goes in inverse proportion to, you know, deservingness or whatever is the word that, you know, he doesn't want to be embarrassed by, but I have to explain the choices that we made. And so when we were considering the plenary speakers for this conference, we felt that the perfect balance, there's that word again, for a meeting in the middle of the Pacific Ocean would be somebody from the middle, and that was going to be Sandro, but for reasons beyond his and our control, that didn't work out. But also one person each from either side of the ocean. So Lisa from California yesterday opened the conference, and today we have Ken Yang from Malaysia to close. So it's still a very good balance. We're kind of missing the middle, but we have both of the bookends. And Ken and Lisa are talking about similar things, but from a vastly different point of view, I suppose. Although I think they'd agree about many things. But one a highly scientific, technical approach, and Ken. Not to say that Ken is not rational and scientific. He's a designer before anything else. We agree. Although these days, and colleges so quickly, then Ken trained at the Architectural Association in London. He earned his doctorate at Cambridge. The best place to get his doctorate, not that I'm biased or anything. I only found out that he and Townsend and Philip have something in common. They are based, if you're not aware, Common Ground, it started and is still based at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And it just so happens that Ken Yang is a distinguished Flynn professor at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So I just found that out. Ken was named as by the Guardian newspaper as one of the 50 people likely to save the planet. So that's a pretty, exclusive. I don't know the other 49, but that's a pretty good thing. I'd love to be in that group. Among numerous international awards, he's received the Aga Khan Award, the Prince Claus Award, the Yang Xi Cheng International Award, and this is just a selection. I've already cut this introduction down from 3 pages. So, in the early 70s, I was barely able to. I mean, I was, able to speak, but I had no idea what architecture was or any of that. In the early 70s, long before sustainability and ecology had entered the architectural lexicon, Yang decided to apply ecological principles to the design of high-rise urban buildings. This is unheard of. What are we talking about? More than 50 years ago. Now it's become, mainstream. I would say not mainstream. I don't think there's anybody who's doing precisely what Ken is doing, which is why. But he could accurately be described as a pioneer. And the logic for that decision, as far as I understand, was that high-rise buildings is basically going to be the building type of choice that we're going to be dealing with. So it's not necessarily the best, but it's what land ownership, the size of sites, and commercial practices kind of point in that direction. And that's, look at Kaka'ako and, or not, as case would be, that's kind of, that's what capitalism produces. So in a nutshell, what Ken has been trying to do is to tame that beast, the high-rise urban building, and make it not only better for people, but part of a larger natural set of systems. And I'm willing to bet that none of the buildings in Kaka'ako, even 50 years later, they learned nothing. So, Ken is an enormously important figure. I don't know how many more times we're going to get him, to come here to Hawaii. Hopefully many, but this is a rare opportunity. At the heart of Yang's approach is the notion that built environments and high-rise urban buildings in particular can be designed to serve as extensions of living systems. Again, that may seem, okay, I've heard that before kind of thing now, but 50 years ago, trust me, nobody was doing anything like this. The world is kind of caught up with Ken, only they haven't understood many. A lot of people commented on Ken's work and third-rate copies of Ken's work as sort of greenwash, buildings draped in landscape, vertical landscapes. That misunderstands and totally devalues what he's doing, which is, again, connecting built systems to natural systems. And that's very different from sticking a few growies on the building and saying, there we go, a green building. But that process has meant that Ken's work has moved from the scale of the individual building to infrastructure, urban infrastructure, because you can't, just as you can't speak about an individual animal outside of its habitat and its context, or other species that it's interacting with knowingly or otherwise, you can't look at one building, it's part of a wider built environment and natural environment. So Ken has moved more and more to being an ecologist, sort of an urban designer / ecologist, which I don't know how many of those there are in the world. We might be looking at the only one. So yeah, so in a nutshell, what Ken is creating are constructed living systems, which is a new thing in the world, I think. With that, I think we're all privileged to welcome Ken Yang to the University of Hawaii and to the Constructed Environment Conference. Welcome, Ken.
Well, I'd like to speak to you today. I've been to Honolulu maybe about 4 or 5 times. So, I lectured here, I think, several years back when Ray Ye was. I'm going to talk today about our work and ecological design. And I don't have all the answers, maybe about 5–10%. So it was have a huge agenda that I need to publishing this. I wrote this out because the key fact was when you go into design. And there are 5 things. First one is human society. But it's not the other thing. And architecture is basically about improving the lives of people. And making them happy and giving pleasure to them. And the second is hydrology, which is water management. Water is extremely important because, when it's strong it's looking to balance. First thing, all sides of water, because where there's water, there is life, there's organic. There's nature, which is central. Let's give a diagram of the central level, because everything we do explains in nature. And thus energy systems, because in society today is addicted to energy. Exists with energy. And finally, that's the built environment. I use the word built environment to actually cover everything that we do as human beings. And so these are the 5 factors we have somehow bring together and consider in ecological design. In many ways, I checked it a few days back, that it correlates with the 10 factors that we mentioned in architects. And I have from the Emergency Architects have a committee called the COAT, Committee on the Environment. And there are 10 factors from the 10 commandments that which correlate with this 5. So these are objectives with given the idea to provide happiness. That well-being, hydrology is the course that we nature is to achieve positive enhancement of nature. Energy system is to avoid using non-renewable sources of energy. The environment is to avoid waste and to close the loop. In a nutshell, this is what my work is all about. It is a little down. That's the let's start with nature, because nature is the context which everything that we do takes place. Ecologists sees the earth as covered by a natural disease, it's covered by this thing called the biosphere. Within the biosphere is because we are getting life is within the biosphere of Venus and nature, co-ecosystems. The ecosystem is actually an abstract concept, and it's defined as consisting of a community of plants and animals, the environmental constituents, and the physical environment, which is the air, like the soil, the climate, and non-living. And so ecosystems particularly about the constituents. Indicating the holistically as a unit. Now, film ecosystems within the field of plants and animals, constituents. It's not this means. We are nature, yet not quite part of nature, in the sense that we are most species. Change the landscape, we can change the properties, change the surface of the planet, remove trees and scale up species of nature. We are the most popular species. Spider-Man says that huge sense with nature. Years of the species make things. Make more things than any other species in nature. Make buildings, make toys, make clothing, make clothes, and objects. Of course, when we finish with using these things, we throw it away. But there is no way. The earth is the ecosystem. And so that we find close to the waste that we discharge into the environment. If we reuse and recycle, and we need to. So back to this diagram. Ecological design then is about integrating all these 5 factors into a whole. And that is the challenge of ecological design. I've been able to do this in part, but not quite to the extent we know there was. So the secret is with biointegration. And here's the project. The artificial parts of vegetable. The artificial parts, if you like, what meant about this Stevie system. Stevie has to integrate with a host organism, the artificial and the organic, and everything that depends on effective integration. If prosthesis does not integrate well, then our prosthesis breaks down. Now, I show this because I was looking back. This is not possible. This artificial is human made. And the host organism is to and therefore, everything has effective okay. So that is the challenge of achieve this integration. Because you have to give them 2 types of integration: physical and systemic. Physical is just one next to the other. Seamless way, and the other is systemic, where the system is not built around and the natural systems, the natural environment are integrated. And that is the difficult way. And so, 38% of the global energy related emissions, more than that's from building. And so that's what we're doing, we're just throwing the pollution in the air. Some countries are taking this seriously. Some countries are not. And this whole program that we're doing now. China is the largest polluter of emissions into the atmosphere. But that doesn't take into consideration of the 100 years of pollution that other countries that were going to the planet in the last year. And so this location between what we do and what goes along with us, and the planet, what is the cost of environmental disruption. So it's not to think about how can we address this. So this led me to study ecology as the basis for design. One of the things that the planet does for us is that it sequesters some of the pollutants that is emitted into the atmosphere. Ecologists call this phytoleakage. Beginning to part of it became, after a while, became evident that we can suppress all pollutants which flow too much into the atmosphere, into the environment. But the idea that plants can absorb, can suppress pollutants, then if we look into how we can use plants and put in buildings. But into ecosystem properties. What happens if we design our host environment as human-made ecosystems? So that is central to that theory, central to what I do. But how to design the host environment as human-made systems? I call it constructed ecosystem. And so I found that this stuff some of the properties of ecosystems and how we can. I mean, I just wish that this environment is naturally particularly because this nature. But there was an alienated system, then is this alienation of disruption. And so this became general. And it's extremely good. Do this. So the first one is biological structure. So biological structure, you see the system, use animals and data systems. But if you look into the whole there's really the only biological systems. That's the beginning of it. Deal with the activity. They look at some city, it's so intense with 8,000 systems. And so, how do we bring this biological systems into the environment? It was just the first challenge. Well, the approach then was to try to not just with vegetation, doing millions of environment, but to try and create habitats so that it will consider the environment as habitats which are taken with them the forest and ground within the system. And so some of the patterns in another bit on one location, as you can see, there's first fragment. One can have a spotty relationship. The patches of green and buildings. Third is to have what I call a stepping stone that is still unconnected, but they are close enough. So the species can move from one patch. We can have a tree relationship between this. The upper row shows the varying integration decimals. So the shape that you can see there is unhappy. Of course, the idea would be disconnected in the form close to the interface of the body. But not enough. We have to do not just physically, not just properly, but that's the way. So with this step of diagrams, let's start unpacking the most of projects. This was a project we did 35 years ago. 85, where we the vegetation and sky course. So which was this first panel. So it's not successful or it's not desirable. But it was an experiment. I could bear in mind that we don't tell your client to do that in the building this and so you can see the plan on the building that has useless sky colors such which vegetation is a part. At the same time, I was looking into the idea of low energy building and the principles are here. The elevator core above the site. So you can get measure resistance between the internet to the 5,000 will not require to visualize the elevator lobby because pressurization is continuously working and the whole idea of staircase of time is sounds more quality of the building. So so these are those calculus linearities. So this is these kinds of. This was then an IBM building. And it was in IBM horizontal bands, which is the metaphor for the IBM model. And here I got the vegetation. This time it was a bit more continuous. I had a mixture of lattice with trellis. Well, this one. This is done so relationship with this species can move. What is that? So this like getting that so yes, this was done in the 1990s. It's a data set where all vegetation and continuous vegetative wall. I could get a kind of vegetable wall, but I zigzag across the road from one side to the other side. And an indicative diagram is this that shows that species diversity, biodiversity is greater near the equator. So, to get a profit table, it's increasing in events. This was a building we did years ago. And it has skybox. Again, this is the patchy relationship, which is not satisfactory. And so these are the habitats that we created in the building on the ground, in the facade, so the building. And the building actually is two almost symmetrical chevrons. So these are the habitats. So as you can see that the next is to try and see what form of the impact is. They're not passive. So this axis form. And then we look into the longer of the impact. And we look at the direction of these. With the time. It uses them as a tool for designing the landscape, the habitats. And so, for instance, this is the habitats of the axis between the two buildings, and you can see the vegetation at the start of the building. And we've got the vegetation all the way down as much as we can, the first floor to the basement. So we call this the vegetation. The ramps will be down or possibly the last straight on. machine for treating that with it. The eco-solar is started until the fact. This was a master competition for the carbon monitoring. And I see the eco-solar through the voting webinars on the basis. So we do a number of things. The green vegetable on the double base things daylight and the voting, just mentioned recognition. And I don't know. It's a living machine that the popular of the biosphere. So back to this building, the physical side. The last thing on the building, you've got the city of Portland. And you can see the exit, that's the annual axis. So these which we have to respect as part of the same as our context. So here you can see the building with two axes. That's the bridge there. The lake is actually a massive tension point. So the ring it's not traditional because the ring water, the ring water actually. Although that's what we're doing, the ring water goes on impervious surfaces, and then goes to the drains into the river. So in nature, the water falls down, stays in the cloud. So these are two axes. And that's the green space in between. It's not green in much, but green. But they're just seeking areas where people but I have holes cut into the side for the green. The green is called in this video. My idea was to basically like the diamond that the chair. So this is not part of the vision. And then in front of the building is a double skin building. The skin is pretty glass with the pattern. Pattern like a second. It's a cultural pattern. And here's the building in the context of the bridge. And then we slice it. We slice the stuff that over to regulate it. But what you see on the right hand side is the background between the outer skin and this skin, the passage between the cells and the glass. And so, this is the passageway. You can see the outer skin, the outside is small, but trying to vessels gaps for the air. And so, the barrel is really bad. And this is the triple pattern that we look for the side of the triple pattern crosses just the glass of the triple glass of the experiment. This is substitute. Whereas the standard of the student uses 250. First of all, simply but that's not good. Which is actually designed by the divide into segments, so you say every time we project it to the country. Yeah, 2020. That's the it says the cultural density is important. So we took the national block, you know, this, and the shape of the ramp is important. So, so, then in the slide, this one. And here is the context. The other goes into the around that. So that's the that's what that. That's not the experiments with that's one of the stuff. So this building did this. It's that. Submit and this you see, we could have walked in this so that this is use it. This is really important. So that's the building block education in the line because of education. They imagine how it's aesthetically very nice. But what is the political mind not in confinements that jumped out on top of the roach still at the so this is. But here we had a walkway, so you can see the walkway, you see the vegetation of the sun, pressure on this is the end of the then on top of the retail garden. I think this is this one. Again, we have to start with vegetation. This is this is a competition scheme. And this was the idea of the family. And so many ways we do competition. The idea was that we will accomplish the same level of a joint voting and the version of the joint voting. We have the version of joint voting so that the voting then becomes the device for being the city. That's an idea. I think we're talking about it. So this is the same nomination. This is yeah. This is another one, which is previous. Another experiment in large factors. This is national libraries in the book. First is the enforcement in field life. Extend respond. So these are all as well as you can see that diagram of vegetation. It also corrects the rainwater. So the local stuff becomes like a sponge. As much rainwater to focus like that. So these are sky force of the edge of the. So we designed how we select the species was that we looked at the vegetation surrounding the site, and the site is quite simple. And from there, with the species that we want to bring back to the site, because that's what we as human beings do. We spread the land and its vegetation and taking it to a park landscape of stuff. So these are the species that we want to put back. Birds, butterflies, dragons, other species of fauna that we will bring back. So it's the loss of work. And for this going to be divided into 4 zones, a lot of foot-driven birds. Second, the butterfly. Third, the songbirds. Last, migratory birds. They stop in second. Along most of the lines, but it's more or less because very difficult to distance. And so here we've got the biodiversity the vertical situation. And that's the false ranges. This false range will be that will become children's pool and secondary school. So then back to this on the left side is this ecosystem. So within this ecosystem services heavily focused on nature. What nature does for us and human intervention. But the moment we remove vegetation, the less nature is capable of providing ecosystem services. Absolutely crucial to maintain vegetation, not the forest, and to revegetate the land. The same sort of services and so this is all this issue as well. Photosynthesis provides and those produces oxygen. But there's no way that we can emulate the scale that nature does for us. Possible. And so those who think that they're not, it's extremely difficult. How can you produce the process? It hasn't even been invented. Of course, they're which have been experimenting using the dye cells, systems, but certain processes that not able to treat, practicality. The scale of which it does. The same is the question of the movement. And so when you talk to green designers, you say that everybody else can everything. You have an awfully awful street. And so this is you can't eat and try it. So the idea then I had was that we cannot replicate photosynthesis. Can replicate the question, what happens if you augment of this environment to use nature to help us to really provide ecosystem services? Because at the moment, because of the moment we're still the 3 major green areas in 5 power or species power. Green power. But we go to Agni go to so the scope of the green areas that we do not benefit. So it means bring the green areas as close to the areas. So that was the basic for designing this stuff. But it's like usually stuff behind I think we happens greatly. And that is to cross hands. This way, the greenery and vegetation. So that was the basis for this. We did this in the competition with the French. Because we in this French territory. That's what is given to this country. If you have other schemes. So we have the spine coast. We have those kind of costs, so we better notice that you. Yeah. This is the close master. The edges are not city. So the speech can come close to green and to. But we're going to do this. Education solves. This was based on the 60s. So we did this conference room, conference room, and that's the English case to absorb the page. Just an example of the possible social application. This is the passage for the this is published. This is human society is designed for work. Absolutely. The moments that you're going to use this, you go into actually, depending on some of the exercise, so that is that's the goal of this. And we hope this will These are energy systems. So he was talking about net zero emission. So we started with that, how to reduce the dependency on new resources. So this is the background. The first four stages. The first one is passive monitoring, which is basically architecture design using the ambient energy which creates the comfort together without using technology. Example with this software is it's Google. It's not that the metrics of this is 43. Was critical for that. Standard 66. It was 0. The loss of the this building then the next stage is so mixed with right? You have some machine, some recognition like I said, no information. So when you're seeing that, this is the retail value for public areas. For public areas. That's public. Really wide. So this was the energy. 27 we can be clear that we never get this equivalent to the 23 things that we have here. This is the hospital expansion in the battle. This is the extension of the Great Northern Street. We discussed the Blue Street area, plus duct. That's the air from the North Street floor or the North Street floor. The working process is calculated just from this is the source within the central atrium. There's no information, it's just code that and not like the organ property in advance of the increment. This is the subject. Oh, this is the light shot. This is Mexican. Where we can bring data and open. And this is the light shot. And this is the agent for another building. This is the church bed. Rainbow skyline is built. Other grounds associated with rainbow. That building is and that will be the next one. Then it's full, I call it full mode because it's full rectangular system that what you have there. So the least system is efficient possible as the local energy possible as smart system. already automatically reduces energy consumption. And finally, the last bit is productive or effective use of resource energy. So on the left side is the data center where the use for the voltage. The voltage has to be a certain extent so the cross flow area in order to make it to balance out the energy consumption. So we don't have enough materials to get a set enough to create photovoltaic. So the sample this is the other approach design and that's zero energy. So the first two stages, the interconnect design and the export design. Architects can do better than most engineers. Engineers go straight into stage 3. And so the design architecture. So it's the most that's the diagram shows the outputs we use this something. And that should read to the fact that the rest of it just connected conventional. Recycling and reusing. City recycling material, recycling collection areas, and also mix it, convert it back into usable material, goes back into the living industry. And these are the solutions proposed that we should get into use. And there's water, which we want to bring back to the as much as possible. Rails. This is the constructed wetland, so that the black water is huge, goes through series of natural filtration plants. So the innovation last problem is almost potable. They use a lot of swings and just to progress myself. Left side is the market value side. About the construction area. So to summarize that, these are the key factors. It's a challenge. It's not easy. It's coming from Sesame Street and things. It's not easy to do. But that was what we did for us. And trying to bring into a form, into a system to decide. It's again not a being designed. So here we are. This one is a which will go to see. It's been like that agenda.
How we're doing the time, you're spot on, Ken. So, Philip, how are we doing for time? Do we have time to take any questions or?
I think we will maybe the question and answer with the reception.
Okay, so I think you have some business for the emerging scholars. I'll give it over to Philip and
We'll jump in if you don't mind me using a microphone.
yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much again. And while we untangle the microphone, well, to do it as quickly as possible because I don't want to keep you away from food and drinks. So the most important thing right now. I just want to say a few words of thank you. I want to close the conference. And also talk about the ways that we can stay connected going forward. The first set of thank you goes to our keynote speakers. Thank you for framing this conversation, bookending it with some not only inspiring theoretical frameworks, but ways of seeing the world that are transformational, and also practical applications, things that can be built in the world. So I'd like to thank you, and again, give them a round of applause. The local organising committee, if any of you are still here, could you stand up for 1 second? Who's left? Anyone left? Anyone left? No, they've all gone, but someone brave enough to stand up? No?
Oh, that's me.
Just Kevin. They have done a fantastic job over the last 2 years pulling this together. So I'd really like to thank them for all their work. And Kevin in particular, who is the reason why we're here. Yes, I want to thank you for the work that you've done, not just this year, but for the last 10 years, and publishing and being a great Common Ground family member. So thank you, Kevin. One of the groups that we really want to recognise are our Emerging Scholar awardees. We had a fantastic group this year, and so what I'm going to do is Kevin's going to come up and he's going to read names, and I'll be shaking hands. So if you just want to come up one by one, and once you are here, can you please stay here so we can do a group round of applause too. So over to you.
The only reason I agreed to do this was that we have as far as I remember, we have no long Hawaiian names. Otherwise, I was out.
Then it would have been my job.
But I'm bound to mess up. And I had practiced messing up names at graduation on Saturday, so I'm really good at it. I hope it's not the same names. So first up is Frederick Braga. Hold on, Next is a really tough one. I've known Ethan. I've only been here 3.5 years, but Ethan was in the first class that I ever taught, and he's still talking to me, so I have a soft spot for Ethan Lee. Well done. Well, maybe he's not talking to me. Next is Brian O'Neill. Yeah, nice job. And then I do know this individual. We have Kendall Leonard. Again, was in one of the. I know this person is here. I hope she is. Malaya Reynolds presented the lay to our first keynote speaker first thing yesterday morning. Seems like a long time ago. So Malaya, come on. Likewise, next is Tyler Dinocenti. Yeah, they come from all directions. So next to him, who presented the lay to Ken Yang just a moment ago, is Risa Lara. I don't know, is Felix here? Not sure if he is. Phoenix Gottendiener was also very prominent yesterday. I saw him up until like midday today, but we also went Felix. Yang Yu. Somebody I have known the longest of these emerging scholars, and I actually practiced the name and probably forgot it in the last hour, So, but Gwen, well done, Gwen. Right, one to go. Oh, okay, right, this is, you kept this one for last.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Daniel, Philip, Marie, Van Eycks, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, you can sit down. Thank you.
Get pictures, all right.
Oh, where's,
Oh, no, we did it. I
Yep.
thought we missed one.
Yep.
Sorry, everyone.
yep, thank you. Ken.
All right, if all has gone to plan, famous last words, there should be something good to eat and drink.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not-
Nearly done, nearly done.
I'm not in a hurry to go.
You are
drink, yeah.
cutting me off. at the end.
Well, I started that way, so. I
Yes,
thought
that's right, that's right. I will still be very brief, but, you know, two other groups that I really want to, thank, that's important to thank. One is, all the catering staff and cleaning staff and all the people that make these buildings and institutions work. Thank them on your way out or your way through. I'd like to thank all of you, particularly to stick it through to the end. If you have a promotion and tenure committee that you need me to write to say that you're here, you know, I will do that for you, but I'll give yourself a round of applause. Okay, so ways we can stay connected. One of the ways we can stay connected is through the journal process. I really encourage you to submit your work, your article to the journal. It's a great resource. I also want to make you aware, like I said in the introduction, that you have access to all of the content in the journal and the book series. If you can't, you're signing with your Scholar account and you get into the bookstore, and if you like the kinds of things that you heard and saw here, there's the long history of people like you and those kinds of research in the journal book series. So I really encourage you to submit and access that content. Serve as a peer reviewer, become part of that validation process. You know, this is just the beginning of conversation and ideas. And as we filter it through, that power being within the community is a very important part of what we are doing here as well. The other way to stay connected is send us news of what you're doing, whether it's a book, research project, job ad, other event, whatever it is, send it our way, and we'd really like to promote it through the channels that we have. The other way to stay together, to see each other again, is to see each other again. Next year we're in Vienna. The theme is on anti-social spaces as a kind of considering what the pandemic has done for sociality and anti-sociality in built and non-built environments. And remember, you have a returning member registration rate, so don't pay the full price to come back next year. And it'd be really fantastic to see you all again. So thank you very much for being here, and now we can have a go. Thank you.
Awesome. I want us to hear that,
No.
See you later. I was going to do that. I'm glad you did, because they're the real reason that this is happening. And you must be exhausted. So there is some food and something to eat, and well, not now. We're going to eat out here, but maybe tomorrow. With
Sit down,
no, this is, but there should be some decent food. We've got everything, all of your stuff is up in my office, so we just need to wrap this up. Hopefully this will be a little.
Everybody.
Well, I have to be part of my, I can't disappear, I have to hang around, but I'll take you back.
still have something else.
Well, I have to be in this reception.
Well, let's see how.
I don't want to miss.
Okay.
Everyone already has one. This is qualifying. Yeah, look, it's not just that I can-
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Get together.
Yes, yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I took 3 this thing.
Yeah, I'm probably
You never know.
blinking
I'm
into it.
just gonna pack this up. Do you need me to, do you want to take these and then you can give them to the students?
Yeah, I will.
And then we won't